echelon troops on the front
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Spearhead cast with me, Matt. We have a 2 of you all here on Stadt on the Western Front. Let's go through the players. We have in the Allied corner Professor as the United States of America without a commander choice yet, and Eugen as Airborne Company straight at the gate for the United States as well. Representing the Germans today, we have Buchhorst as Jäger Tactics for the Waffen-SS, and Stockholm Mulvey, the main developer of Spearhead 2 mod, as Ostdivision for the Wehrmacht. Starting with Osttruppen straight out the gate. This should be interesting. See how this turns out. This is a very small 2v2 map, so I expect a lot of action very early. Like the first shots have already been fired. Exactly in the first minute mark. As the Storm Pioneers engage with the United States forces here in the center. Quickly rushing into the trench here so they can use the cover here. Running up there, good, so they have heavy cover, but now the Americans are giving themselves some more troops. We also have Pioneers of the Wehrmacht pushing up today some sandbags. The Storm Pioneer quickly overrun by the sheer amount of American units nearby though. Because there's a lot of Americans, they even move to flank here. And the Storm Pioneer is going to get shot to pieces pretty quick. Quickly vaulting over, but will that help them? They're suppressed, they probably have to get out of there, and indeed they do. And we have Storm Pioneers take control of the other flank. We have German Osttruppen pushed to the northern flank here. Lots of Eastern Europeans contribute to a fight for the Germans. Against the Allies at this point instead of the Soviets by the looks of it. Lots of Osttruppen moving up here behind cover. Osttruppen have the unique thing of having no submachine gun in their squad leader. They're entirely armed with bolt-action rifles. They're really good static infantry, but not the most effective aggressive infantry, which I suppose kind of fits their whole role. Let's see how everything will turn out here. Pioneers moving up here. We also have some Fallschirm Pioneers of the Waffen-SS, a unique unit available to Jäger Tactics. You rarely see people actually go for these guys, which is a shame because it's unique to see the Fallschirm Pioneers. So someone's not happy about a certain grenade. The Americans are pushing up here on the Osttruppen. They're throwing a pineapple at them. As the Osttruppen throw an egg grenade in return. They manage to get up to cover. And two Osttruppen can hit them in the rear here, but I think the Americans are just too good infantry at this point. Because American infantry is pretty reliable at what they do. Grenadiers are holding the line against the Americans. Looks like Professor has gone for Ranger Company by looks of it. I recognize that symbol. Fallschirm Pioneers pushing up here to support the Storm Grenadiers. Laying down a lot of aggressive firepower. There's lots of Osttruppen here for Stockholm Mulvey. Very fascinating to see. Germans are able to get a collar point here to deny this fuel for the Americans, but Germans don't have a fuel point themselves at the moment. Grenadiers sitting up back here. Osttruppen use this trench to their advantage. I have changed the sound settings a little bit again, so hopefully this will be right, because again I have to experiment now that I'm using my new headset on top of using my old microphone, so it's a lot of stuff I have to get used to still. And hopefully everything will just sound right. It's a lot of fiddling, as I mentioned in the last video. A lot of back and forthing. Oh, we have a 50 caliber machine gun coming here for the airborne. Manned by the airborne themselves, obviously. Let's see, machine gun here, 30 caliber from the United States opening up. Suppressing all the SS troops, so they cannot really do much. This MG-54 should probably sit up in the back. Especially as American infantry is coming up. That's not good. Yeah, people are trying to get too far forward there. Grenadiers are meanwhile trying to push for the point down here. Or is it to be Echelon actually holding them off? At least for now. That might change. Yeah, great in return. That might be that Storm Grenadier. And indeed it is. And it looks like the Osttruppen are trying to dig in. The Pillbox of all things there. That is a really hard thing to get through early on. Panzerbüchse hand out to the Pioneers. We have an MG-42 here from the Ostdivision. Manned by actual Germans by the looks of it. Osttruppen are quickly going to set this Pillbox up because You can use Osttruppen to just build your frontline defenses, as it was a menial task, and generally the Osttruppen, I believe, were employed for many menial tasks.
Osttruppen ready.
The Pillbox is going to become a machine gun equipped one. Makes a lot of sense. Once you be able to cover this area with a very hard to breach place. If the caliber is being targeted here. Germans are going to be able to secure their fuel point down here finally. Most of them pushing up towards the Americans in the ruined rubble here. Ooh, that's not a good retreat path. And Osttruppen are really proving to be very effective here in this case. The 50 caliber machine gun's trying to open up, but it's actually taking some pretty big hits. There's some air shot down there. You have some Ranger Recon here in the field, some unique, high quality, long range infantry available to Rangers. Or to US Ranger, I mean. Very potent squad. Before two sitting up here. Yeah, I don't think the Americans are going to do a lot of good in that position. That might be that squad. Wow. Never mind. Lucky guy. Mr. Ranger Recon is pushing up here. There's only 3 Storm Pioneers. They're not going to be able to hold this off. There's not Ranger Recon, who are really good infantry long range, by the way. Shouldn't they have a sniper rifle with them? Storm Pioneers are trying to get into position. Ranger Recon quickly rush up to take the point, but very smart from Pillbox. Moving back here before they retreat, so they can get a little bit safer on the retreat path. That's actually really good. But they're not retreating yet. They probably should. Somebody is trying to push up, but Ranger Recon are just laying down a lot of fire with their 30 caliber and their marksman. As well as 2 Springfield rifles, because the Ranger Recon doesn't actually use among the Rans unless you upgrade them with it. They will lie mostly on Springfield rifles. Which is intriguing, but I guess it's to symbolize the fact that they are long range infantry. There we go, Storm Pioneer is finally falling back. But the Storm Grenadiers are not in the best position here. Throwing a smoke grenade there to cover for the other squads. That's actually a really good play. But they have to pull back, they cannot hold that position. The Ost Division are however digging in, making a very good position there. Airborne have airdropped in. But it's not be the best place to airdrop because of the MG42. They took some losses in the attempt. And they are actually just all retreating. Good pineapple grenade though to buy them time. You know, we have a 30 caliber sitting up here from the airborne. That will prevent the Osttruppen from pushing up. Because Osttruppen have no smoke grenades with them. But the pillboxes are being established. US Ranger troops are trying to push up still. We also have a Ranger Recon Ranger Demolition team on the field.
Stand by! Orders! Where the hell is that bar?
Ukraine is moving back up into position. Osttruppen are falling back still to replenish by looks of it. Americans will be able to get both fuel points at this point. Not looking good for the Germans. But it is going to be hard for the Americans to destroy these pillboxes. As they can get around them and demo them down in some capacity. Oh, very cheeky from the Germans. They're actually going for the big cutoff here. Deny the Americans all the resources from this part of the map.
Orders! MG42!
American troops are fighting in the ruins here to the best of their ability. And we actually are used to replenish troops at the front line, but they have to retreat, so that's not good. MD-15 equipped here on the Fallschirm Pioneers. Unique light machine gun to be able to mow the Fallschirmjäger forces. Oh! Good Gebaldeladung before the Pioneers died down here. They're buying themselves a lot of time. We have a Lieutenant from the Ostdivision pushing up. Going to hold the spot here with his MP40. And his retinue with K98s, obviously. Lieutenants are not that bad at being frontline infantry, from what I understand. I can't expect it to be near your troops, so... Lots of Osttruppen moving up here. Laying down a lot of suppressive fire. Well, not suppressive, but just accurate fire with their K98s.
We lost an infantry
The buff Mthis is trying to push up through the ruins. Blitz coming up to service a reinforcement platform. Ranger Recon team being suppressed, they have to pull back. Ranger Denver team is hiding somewhere down here with... They lost some members somewhere. What happened? I might have missed that. Oh, the Ostrommer tries to lay down another pillbox here to try and keep the Americans locked in. As this one gets set up, it's going to be very hard to get the cutoff point. Very cheeky here from Stockholm Mullery. I suppose that is one way to use the Ostruppen, in all honesty. Very intriguing and very aggressive pillbox playstyle here. It's good to see people try something unique, I suppose. And I don't think they can repair it though, can they? Oh, then we have another pillbox. Oh my god, he's just putting pillboxes everywhere! Stock is doing some very experimental tactics. Rangers is at the Ranger camp down here. Sturmgren is pushing up with the scope Sturmgewehr. Unique if you're playing as Jäger tactics. Allows them to perform some accurate Sturmgewehr fire. I think the allies are actually in trouble once these pillboxes get fully established. This is a very intriguing playstyle. Then a third pill. No, that's actually a commando bunker. What the hell am I watching? Oh, MG42 here might be in trouble though. Yeah, the airborne is nearby and they are already doing marching fire. That's gonna force that MG42 to just run back. Because airborne are pretty lethal infantry if they can get up close to you. Oh, well, just be in a good position. And that's a German commando bunker and everything. That is very intriguing. And the Germans are able to push up to the fuel point down here. And finish up their defenses. Now, what are the Americans gonna do here now? Because that's gonna be very difficult to push out from. And you do have a 57mm, which is getting to work. The airport is still threatening from up here. And they just need to get enough kills there. Well, shots in. Most of them are going to be fighting against all the airborne, and the airborne are pretty good infantry. But that AAT gun might be in trouble. Oh, Gebaldeladungs! Because the Ostruppen can be equipped with Gebaldeladungs! Oh no! Stock basically showing that Ostruppen are actually pretty good at what they do. That is hilarious. And we have an artillery strike landing on the Germans down here. Getting very wide across their battle line as the Americans start to push up again. Riflemen quickly pushing forward with their BARs. Machine guns sitting up back here, good to see. Ranger Recon coming up behind, we also have a lieutenant. Someone have to call in the artillery after all. Well, now the MG-34 stripping into them. Oh yeah, suddenly the Americans are very much on the back foot there. And the Ostruppen are just threatening the rest of the front line here. This is so awkward. I've not seen a battle like this ever before. I suppose it serves as a good test for me to just my microphone, but also to show how people can do some very intriguing strategies sometimes.
We lost a gun crew.
And the Americans are definitely gonna have to work extra hard to get out of this one. Especially with all these pillboxes just everywhere. Like they're gonna try and flank up here, but then they'll notice there's another pillbox covering the first one. Which is exactly what you're supposed to do with pillboxes. They're supposed to be an inter-arcing fire that cover one another. That's how defenses work. Well, the one pillbox did get destroyed, but they're building another one. They also stole this 30 caliber. Americans are quickly trying to take up to get vehicles by the looks of it, which makes sense. They need something to break through. Jäger attacks brought up a mortar. They have one fighting down here in the ruins. He's using a normal BAR at the moment. In long range firefights, I think the airborne should win out. Man, this pillbox can just hit them even here as they come out of the base. Ah, Nemesis barbed wire, very good play there. Stock is basically making negative cover here for the enemy as they try to advance. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. The Americans are just falling back, realizing what's going to happen. Yeah, it's not looking good for the Allies. Mthis has definitely secured a new front line down here. They'll be holding. Ostdivision is just doing whatever the Ostdivision is doing. Laying down obstacles and laying down barbed wire, making basically an approach here impossible. I like what he's doing. Like, this is very ingenious play, actually. Just making a fortified area that's going to be very impossible to get through. Like all the tank traps too, the Dragon's Teeth. Basically, vehicles are just not going to be able to move up here. Also, remember, they do not provide heavy cover anymore, just light cover, and they do not block infantry. Infantry can walk through them and through in between them now. I think it's like that with all tank traps, so you can use them as blocking maneuvers or blocking obstacles. Americans are pushing up again here. Oh, using smoke, very smart. Problem is going to be that they are not using white phosphorus on them. And as they get through the smoke, they're just going to get cut to pieces. The Americans are again in full retreat. And they need to get to white phosphorus smoke somehow. It requires it to be a veteran to 2, but they do have an A2 Sherman coming up here. But here's the problem. Osttruppen arrive with Panzerfaust, so they can actually counter the Shermans if they can get close enough. Mthis is trying to push down here, meanwhile. Being quite aggressive. The Echelon cannot hold that back on their own. Do have this machine gun to help them, though. He's trying to push up, but there's another pillbox here. Why not the tank traps? It prevents tanks from getting through. Or just vehicles in general, I'd say. I also think most of them can lay mines. Then again, all German units can lay mines, so... Very different playstyle there from Stockton Mulvey. Germany's just doing its best down here, but it is a pack on the southern flank. Where is it? There it is. Pulled up there quick. It's still taking up. The American take-up does take a while, I think. There's some US Pathfinders in the field. Sneaking up quickly, getting a sight of what the hell is going on, and they might see a lot of Dragon's Teeth. This is very weird. Perhaps Dr. Mulvey is just proving that Osttruppen are Besttruppen. You see, this is actually ingenious. You put tank traps in front and barbed wire behind. And that suddenly makes it very difficult for the enemy to move up. Basically, Dr. Mulvey is going to make assaulting this area nigh on impossible. Very intriguing. Not really being contested with it either, because the airborne have to figure out what to do. Okay, the Pathfinder decided to throw a grenade and then retreat. Hope that works. Artillery going in, not really hitting much. German still remains operational down here.
Yeah, go ahead. The lieutenant has been assigned to field ops.
We have a lieutenant here from the US Airborne. Going for some air support, which I suppose could work. It's just strafing runs at the moment. But now the negative cover could bite them in there as they get suppressed. Like, people do not use pillboxes now, I think. It's actually surprisingly useful if you can get them in the right position and the right defenses in front of them. You just need to keep their flanks covered or ensure they have interlocking Interlocking arcs of fire. This looks like the Sherman got destroyed down here. I missed that. Ugh. Definitely being a little bit of a weird match. But I don't think people mind. It's a good way for me to test stuff. And as always, I want your feedback on how the old microphone sounds alongside the new headset I'm using, because I'm still not I think I have the proper balance down. I have to still fiddle with stuff. And again, if any of you know OBS and sound settings, I would always take recommendations, because I am not good at audio stuff. I always need to have someone else to explain some stuff like that to me. Well, Americans are using out smoke grenades here, but there's just too many Germans dug in. Well, I suppose at this point not Germans, just mostly Eastern Europeans. This is very different. I'd say perhaps this would be a good thumbnail. I need to start taking thumbnails during the battles. So that's that if you don't mind. Just like that. I don't think anyone minds that. Like, thumbnails are just nice to grab, and I do want to make different thumbnails than just, you know, landscape shots, but I'm not that good at Photoshop, and I don't want to just have something static. I like to take something that's weird and somewhat part of the battle, potentially, in the future. Currently I've just done landscape shots, but I like the one of the fortress over here. Oh, and now we can also get the extra man on the Ostrom because they're veterans too. They can actually be 6-man squads. Which gives the Ostrom a very unique spot in a German roster, honestly. Because you can have a lot more of them in a lot more of them around. Also being equipped with SVTs. Always also grab the 20-round Kar98 trench magazines. Which I rarely see people do sometimes. But it's just a basic upgrade. It doesn't take up a weapon slot. What's going to be going into the German positions here? The shells don't really hit the best places. That's because the machine gun is just pulling back here. And then after this is just too dug in. Maybe being thrown here by the Rangers, except they're not throwing it. Looks like it's blocked. There it goes. Right in the machine gun. Doesn't do enough. Yeah, I think the Allies are at their breaking point at this point. It's been an intriguing short match, but I mean, much else that can be done. Yeah, and indeed they ended. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this weird one. I'll see you all next time, everyone. Bye bye!